All right, everybody, welcome back to Freedom Steel. Todd Vandermeid, former NRA contract lobbyist and Illinois gun law guru. And we have an exciting update today about the Illinois gun ban stuff in federal court in Southern Illinois. But before we get to that, I wanted to give a shout out to everybody that came by the table at the King County Gun Show yesterday and gave us the thumbs up, some encouragement, pat on the back, their thank yous. We really appreciate it, guys. Lack of content for this weekend was one, the gun show. Two, I also was teaching a gear class over to Royal Sportsman's Club for our two-gun tactical program, and there were a lot of guys there that are following the channel and keeping up on stuff. I also like to give a shout out to Gun Barrel Coffee. They came by the booth yesterday and gave us a sample of their wares. We'll talk about them more a little at the end of this video. They are not paying us anything for this, and if you notice, the collection of Jack Daniels behind me is growing. Yes, more subscribers are sending me Jack Daniels as they actually think that's the jet fuel that keeps this channel going. You might not be all that wrong. But anyway, so now, like if you're from my age group and saw Lost in Space Danger, Will Robinson, well, here we go. So today, Judge McGlynn issued an order in 3 of the 4 cases. He issued an order in the SAF case, the NSSF case, and the Thomas Mag case, because those 3 preliminary injunctions were filed just ahead of ours, and the state has not responded to ours as of yet. But in those 3 cases, the same order was issued. And I will quote, "Within the response to motion 6 for preliminary injunction, defendants shall provide illustrative examples of each and every item banned under 720 ILCS 5/24-1.9. So as they enter or issue their reply brief as to why a preliminary injunction should not be granted, the state, has to file some sort of illustrations, photographs, whatever, that purport to describe all of the items. Notice he did not say firearms. He said all of the items. And why did he say that? Well, if you go over to the FFL case, which is, we're all under the same judge. We haven't been consolidated in the one case yet, but we are all working under the same judge, and he's issuing pretty much the same orders across the board. So we're expecting to get the same order in our case. But if you go back to the things that were being argued in the FFL case, so at the bottom of page 4 in our motion for preliminary injunction, the Firearms Act ban also labels as a, quote, assault weapon any firearm that has been modified to be operable as an assault weapon as defined in this section, 5-24 1.9A1H, and even, quote, any part or combination of parts designed or intended to convert a firearm into an assault weapon, 24-1.9A1I. The restriction on parts or combination of parts also functions to block repairs, modifications, or improvements of existing grandfathered firearms when parts break or accessories are inappropriate. Finally, the Firearms Ban Act also restricts assault weapons attachments, the definition of which includes any device capable of being attached to a firearm that is specifically designed for making or converting a firearm into an assault weapon under 24-1.9A3. So merely possessing ubiquitous plastic pistol grip or other harmless part, even without owning an accompanying firearm, is now a serious crime in Illinois. That was part of the FFL brief. And since all these briefs and motions are going to the same judge and clerks, I'm going to bet here that they are taking notice of certain things. Now, a couple of the other briefs kind of mention in passing parts and that kind of thing. But in this case, the FFL case, they are making a big argument about the ability for the right to repair. They're making a big argument about how broad a ban this becomes because of the ban on parts and all that kind of stuff that goes into it. And there's going to be more on that coming out. But with that, they are the one group. See, everybody else is guns and magazines. This one is guns and parts. And I'm going to believe that based on what this judge wrote, one of his clerks and or he know just a little bit more about guns than the Attorney General's office. I think they know a little bit more about guns than some of the people writing this bill within the General Assembly. And so based upon that, we look at another part of the FFL brief. While many focus the discussion of assault weapons on rifles built on the AR-15 platform, Illinois' definition is so broad that the firearms ban covers many other common firearms, including several models of the popular Remington 1187 shotgun and many models of the Ruger 1022, one of the most popular target and hunting 22s that exist. As of 2015, there were over 7 million 1022s in circulation. So why is this important? They've been arguing in common use, and then in the anti-gun briefs that are popping up in cases like Naperville, Highland Park, in California, they try to argue the percentage of firearms that may be these guns in circulation, saying that, well, there's X number of these firearms out there, and that equates to only like 2% of the population. Therefore, they're not in common use, and making all those kinds of crazy arguments. They're trying to bootstrap up anything they can. But when you start talking the fact that there are over 4 million 1100s and 1187s out there, and that, those shotguns are in some facets are affected by this, or that as of 2015, there are 7 million 1022s. And I would say that if we ran that out to 2023, that number could almost double. That one of America's most popular 22 rifles is now caught up in this ban. That's how broad, how all-encompassing this ban is. And I think it's important to get those facts out there, because everybody wants to spend way too much time on ARs, AKs, and whatever, when making the court vastly aware that this ban goes beyond the machine gun looking types of guns that they want to scare the pants off the general population about. Just like old Josh Sugarman said back in the day when they coined the term assault weapon. So with that, let's not forget that within the Public Act, that you have 4 components. You have the list of guns, where the government literally goes down and says bad gun, bad gun, bad gun, and goes through all that. But then you also have under this subsection A, where it says a semi-automatic rifle that has the capacity to accept a detachable magazine. Note, there is no exemption for 22s. Or that may be readily modified to accept a detachable magazine if the firearm has one or more of the following. 1, pistol grip or thumb hole stock. 2, any feature capable of functioning as a protruding grip that can be held by the non-trigger hand. 3, a folding, telescoping thumb hole or detachable stock, or a stock that is otherwise foldable or adjustable in a manner that operates to reduce the length, size, or any other dimension, or otherwise enhances the concealability of the weapon. A flash suppressor, a shroud that attaches to the barrel that partially or completely encircles the barrel, allowing the bearer to hold the firearm with the non-trigger hand. So all those things include assault weapons. Then you have the attachment component. And this section reads, assault weapon attachment means any device capable of being attached to a firearm that is specifically designed for making or converting a firearm into any of the firearms listed in paragraph 1 of this subsection. So, you have that. And then you have my favorite part about the parts, where, as I scroll through here to find subsection I, and here we go, subsection I. Any part or combination of parts designed or intended to convert a firearm into an assault weapon, including any combination of parts from which an assault weapon may be readily assembled if those parts are in the possession or under the control of the same person. And this, I believe, has very broad implications. But with all that, the judge's order said items, did not say firearms. Why is that important? Well, there's a big difference between parts and firearms. It'd be one thing if he just said, show me pictures of the 170 guns you banned. But remember, this ban has a features test. And under that features test, even the guns they tried to exclude are now caught up, like the 1022, like the 1187. And I'm going to wager that Kwame's office does not have a bunch of wing shooters or gun guys piled up in there, and that they're not going to sit there and just understand the great big pile of dung they have waded into. Because they've got a mess. If they were smart, they would take the Brownells catalog and staple it to their reply. Say, here you go, Your Honor, this is Exhibit A. Because pretty much a good chunk of that catalog is now illegal under this bill. This law, I should say, because it is a law now. And with that, it is just a hoot. I could probably write a 20-page appendix, exhibit, whatever you want, on the 1022 alone. And we're going to have a whole bunch of points to make in rebuttal to this. I'm really kind of interested in seeing what the AG's office has to say. And I think our exhibit for the when we talk about things like the 1022, I think this is going to be the gun that we use to lead off with. This is just going to be way too much fun. But that is some very good news, I think, on our part. I think that this may cause the Attorney General's office to want more time. I think we will fight that, and we will have an opportunity to address that should it come up. But I don't think they're going to have an encyclopedic knowledge of what they're dealing with here. And oh boy, are they going to get an education. And this is why the FFL case focused on guns and parts. This is important as to why the FFL case took a specific point of view to go after things like the right to repair, to make sure that that gets enumerated or clarified or ruled upon by the court, that the right to repair falls under the text of the Second Amendment, along with a few other things. And that's why I've said that when they put this stuff in there, yes, it makes it a worse law, but they've actually done us a favor and given us a gift. They've given us the ability to argue on things that are going to have some long-reaching implications. And I'm really kind of tickled by this. As I've told a few people about what happened when this order came out this morning, You could hear them just giggling over the phone as it sunk in, because they're gun guys like us, gun girls like us. They understand words mean things. And trust me, when the anti-gunners, GPAC, and all the rest of them thinking they were being too cute by half when they were writing stuff, and oh, we're going to close this loophole, and we're going to close this, they're not going to be able to go do this, and they're not going to be able to go do that. I think they have just set themselves up for such an epic beatdown. You're going to think you got into a ring with Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, and you got between the two of them. That's where I think this is going. I think this is going to be just absolutely flippin' epic. And I think what this judge is teeing them up for, I think this judge is going to see how broad this ban is. And that is going to be a basis for an injunction because of just how broad this ban is. So, with all that, boys and girls, we'll do a deeper dive into some of this a little later. We'll get into some more aspects of this. I do want to say that the Gun Barrel Coffee guys, they stopped by the booth at the gun show the other day and said that they were going to be donating a portion of the sale from this Cold Dead Hands coffee. They were looking for a worthy recipient, and we think that they are going to be donating that money to support the litigation here in Illinois. So if you get a chance, they're trying to be good patrons. I'm not a coffee drinker myself typically, but just may have to give this stuff a try and give a shout out to those guys. Really appreciate you stopping by the booth the other day. Get a chance, look them up on the internet. Please like, subscribe, share the links to this video on all the social media. We hear that there's a whole Reddit page dedicated to us and everything. Great. You guys keep sharing around. We see it's getting posted over on ar15.com. Great. Guys are asking for some merch and some t-shirts. We're going to try to be working on all that. We really are. Just every day something new like this pops up, and I get tasked with more stuff, and it just takes time. And there's only so many hours in the day and everything. But with all that, we really, really appreciate all the support we're getting from you guys. And this one's running just a hair long. But as always, frag out.